kiss and hug me. Come on strong, go on and love me. Stop waste that big old moon. Wake up and smell the perfume. Just say if you want to be more than friends.
Welcome everyone to another Social Web Cafe interview. Today we have Beth Browning, an SEO expert, as well as an SEO educator. Welcome, Beth.
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm awesome.
Yes, you are awesome. I'll agree with you that Beth Browning is awesome. Hey, why don't we start out by telling us a little bit about Beth and about like a day in the life of Beth Browning.
So that's a great question. I was thinking about that. I think I'm actually still trying to figure out what a day in the life of Beth Browning is like, because every single one of them is just a little bit different. But like you mentioned, I'm an SEO consultant and educator, and so I spend a lot of time reading, writing, researching, and a great deal of time collaborating and networking with people. So, you know, my typical day changes from day to day, but it's always filled with learning and teaching.
That's excellent. You know, you mentioned networking, and right away I thought about originally when we were talking about the cross between the SEO and social media. And anyone that lives in a realm of especially social media and the SEO, but each day does change. It's not like you have this set, you know, I go milk the cow at 5:30 a.m. and then at 6 I'm eating breakfast.
Right. Sometimes I wish I had a little more routine because it's, you know, when I'm going between doing client work or planning for training or, you know, doing my own, trying to write my own stuff, it's kind of hard to sometimes get in a groove when there's not that at 5:30 a.m. I milk the cow kind of routine, but it also keeps it, you know, fresh.
Keeps it fun, and I like fun, fresh, like ad lib. I'm curious though, this is a personal question. I live by checklists. It's the only way that I can get stuff done. So how do you get everything done if it's different every day?
I live by checklist too. So I just have my major to-do list, and you know, a lot of time I use my calendar a lot. If there's something that has to be done on a particular date or followed up on a particular date, I use my calendar a lot for reminders, or otherwise I'd be lost.
I hear you. I don't know when I'm supposed to brush my teeth unless I look at the calendar or something. It's just live by. If Google ever crashes on the Google Calendar,
oh my God,
I don't know who I am.
I know I'll be dead. Like, ah.
Exactly. Now, on the SEO travel, you have a really interesting story you were telling me the other day about how you became an SEO expert.
Yeah, so in my previous life, I was in corporate America, and one of my last role, actually, I had responsibility for search engine optimization as well as online customer experience and email marketing. And because I was responsible for SEO, and I knew I didn't have enough time to really do it myself, nor did I have the expertise, I started interviewing a lot of SEO agencies to try and figure out who I wanted to work with. And I found it to be an extremely frustrating experience because most of them were just not very forthcoming in their information. So I would get these proposals and they would walk through the proposal with me, and you know, they would give me an evaluation of the website and say, this is wrong, or, you know, you need to change this. But there was never any why behind the recommendations, or, you know, okay, you're telling me this is wrong on my website, but why is it wrong? How is that adversely affecting our SEO? And so I got very frustrated. I'm not a person that really likes to, I'm a very collaborative person. I believe in approaching things in a partnership manner. And I feel that if I'm provided the information, like for example, for SEO, you know, why you're doing this, then I can be a better partner and we'll together make it work much, you know, be more successful. So because I was frustrated, I decided to set out on a quest to educate myself about search engine optimization. No intent of becoming a search engine optimization person at the time, but I just wanted to, I felt like if I could get the education and understand the basics of search engine optimization, then I could pick the right partner to work with. And I would also know that they were doing things the right way, because even back then, the agencies would talk about things like buying links, and that just didn't sit well with me. It didn't seem like that would be something that would be a good long-term strategy. So I found the Search Engine Academy, which was founded by a gentleman by the name of John Alexander, and he's the director of the Search Engine Academy. And I took a course with Michael Marshall, who's the lead instructor for the academy in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I was...
So that was just to clear it up, because there's a lot of online stuff going on. That was actually physically at the location.
Right. That was actually physically at the location. So it was, and it was actually kind of hard to find a workshop as I really wanted something hands-on. I didn't want to go to a conference and do a 2-hour seminar and just get a lot of really high-level, how-tos, but no meat behind it. I really wanted to know how to.
So you wanted to practice it as you're like, here's the tips, go try it out.
Yep,
and you wanted to actually implement it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I found the Search Engine Academy, and initially what I was able to propose to my boss and get approval for was to do the 2-day basic training course, which covers kind of the basics of how search engines work, and it provides a 6-step process for how to get your content found on search engines. And not only was I immediately fascinated by the topic and just found it to be really, really interesting, I also found that I had an affinity for it. And I came out of the 2-day class with a hit list of action items that I was immediately able to put into play, and we made some really significant results in a relatively short period of time, actually without hiring an agency. I did end up ultimately hiring an agency, but I know I made a much better decision because I had gained the knowledge that I did.
And you're a better team player and a team lead with your own company that way too.
Exactly. And then the following year, I went back and I took the advanced portion of the class because I still felt like there was more I needed to know to really be able to be effective in my role. And that sparked my interest even more. And so from then on, each year I returned until last year. Well, I did return last year as well. But last year I decided to venture out on my own. My original intent was just to help, to be a resource for helping businesses be equipped to better do business online. So I have a background in customer experience, I have a background in search engine marketing, and felt like I was really well positioned to work with businesses to optimize their web presence. I knew that I had to be able to promote my own business, both through social media and through SEO. So I paid out of my own pocket to go to get refreshed again last year, and ended up becoming an instructor for the Search Engine Academy. So it's kind of a neat story.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So it's like your hunger for knowledge, and to be able to translate that into something that you were able to understand and apply. And as you said, I mean, I got hungry for more knowledge from Beth Browning just when you talked about the results and how quickly you were able to obtain results. But that turned into this passion to teach others to do the same thing that you were doing.
Yeah, it really did. I think my passion, and I'm really passionate about it. My passion really comes a lot from wanting to, it sounds kind of strange, but kind of having a protective instinct about other people and wanting to make sure that they're getting the best possible services. And unfortunately, there are a lot of SEO agencies. It's in any profession, right? There's always people that are not really doing things the right way or whatever. And it's an industry where you can talk a lot of talk. Most business people are very intimidated by the subject. They think it's very highly technical. And so they just kind of want to push it off and say, here, take care of this for me. And I want them to understand what, not be an expert, but just have a good basic working knowledge so that they can make really great decisions about who they want to work with. And they're really, they're not going to get into a situation where Google rolls out a new update and their SEO agency has been doing unethical things and they drop off of the face of search. And I've talked to many business owners who have experienced just that. So that's really a lot of where my passion comes from too, is just really wanting to help people.
That's like a nurturing. I mean, not just helping, but when you talk about protecting, that nurturing aspect.
Yeah, I think that's a good word. I describe my services to be a mentoring approach. I don't like to just have people trust me because I'm the expert. I love aha moments. I love seeing the light bulb go on. And so I do take a very mentoring and nurturing approach to my engagements.
But that's very appealing, I think, in looking for a service. And like you said, there's different perspectives, different people have different gifts and so forth. And maybe somebody else is more technical, and not more technical than Beth Browning, of course, but I mean,
there are plenty of people,
and less nurturing. And
Yeah.
you got to find that good fit that works for the company and the client.
Right. And that's what it's all about. I'm not going to say that I'm the best fit for everybody out there. I think I do come from a unique perspective that I find very attractive because it's what appeals to me. And I know I'm finding as I work with people that a lot of people really want that. Other people do just want to say, you know what, I just want to hand it over and I want you to do it for me. And I think that's great. If that works for them, that works for them. I still really believe that they would benefit from having at least a working knowledge. The way I look at it is, if you spend, the 2-day class is X amount of dollars, and it's roughly $1,000, and the 5-day class is more than that. But if you're going to pay an SEO agency anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 a month, depending on how the engagement is set up and the size of scope of what they're doing, that's a really great investment to make sure that you're not just continuously throwing money down the drain, in my opinion.
I would have to agree with you on that. I especially like how you talked about, so that people, even if they're not SEO experts themselves within their companies, that they know what's going on. I keep thinking about the black hat techniques, and I'm not going to go judge people if they're using them, but I think that the client at least should be informed of what the techniques are on their website. So like you said, if there's a Google ding, they know why it happened.
Exactly.
Wow, you actually have me speechless for a moment. I was so enamored with listening to you talk about teaching SEO and the nurturing and the different perspectives that people may have on that. Now, for those that may be thinking that, like, the same path that you took as far as the love of SEO, and I think I can really hear that when you describe SEO. It's like you light up. For those listening to the podcast, yes, Beth Browning lights up when she talks about SEO.
I know, I'm a geek too, right? Who lights up about SEO?
Yeah, there's a lot of us geeks out there. That's fine. Yeah. That's cool now. For people thinking about teaching SEO that are going the same path, what would your recommendations be?
Well, my recommendations would be to, seek out really, make sure that they're very well educated themselves, be willing to share information. And I think probably one of the biggest things that I've learned is I actually think I learn more from my students sometimes than they do from me. And by that, every time I engage with someone, they pose a question to me that causes me to think about something in a completely different way than I ever have before. And then I'm off on this scramble to try and solve this new puzzle, and it's fascinating and fun.
But that makes you a better teacher. I've had that teaching Photoshop where people ask something like, I didn't think of doing that, but then you go find the answer, you teach them, and now your knowledge base is growing. Exactly.
And one of the other things I would say is, don't be afraid to say, I don't know. I kind of cringe a little bit at the word expert because it implies that there's everything about it. And there is so much going on that it's impossible to know absolutely everything. And so my opinion is it's perfectly okay to say, I don't know, but then know where to go find the answer, and then, be responsive and get back into it. But it's a lot of fun teaching people how to improve their website and make their business better.
That's excellent. I think that's hard for teachers to say, I don't know, on the
It is. I remember the first workshop I taught, I was very nervous because it was the first public facing workshop I had taught. And I think we all get, we all have nervous. You feel a little nervous because you're walking in there and you're positioned as the expert. You're teaching the class. And I remember somebody asked me a question and I didn't know the exact answer because it was one of those things where she just phrased it in a way that was really thought-provoking, and I didn't have the answer off the top of my head, and I felt the blood rush up to my face, okay, deep breath, I don't know the answer to that. And then I was like, okay, but I will find out, and it was all fine, but you have to kind of get past that. And now I'm perfectly comfortable with it.
That's excellent. I remember one of the classes I taught, I was able to say, okay, guys, let's work on this task right here. And then I'd run to the back room and I'd go on the computer and look up the answer really quick and come up and answer. But I think your option, as far as I don't know, or maybe we'll cover that on the next day or a little bit later this afternoon. I'd say that's a very transparent, and it's consistent with your nurturing approach. That's great.
Well, and I also think it just makes people feel more comfortable that they don't know. I mean, a lot of people walk into the SEO classes and they're or any kind of training, and they feel like they're intimidated because they feel like it's something they should know. And so when you can learn together, and I think that's what makes it kind of awesome too, is that you're expanding both people's knowledge and you're learning together, and then that's sounds maybe a little bit extreme, but it's a little bit of a bonding experience because you made this discovery together.
I can definitely see that. It's like there shouldn't be a chasm, but I'll just use the word chasm, but a chasm between the student and the teacher. And the more that the teacher has that attitude of knowing everything, that chasm just gets bigger and bigger. And I imagine that affects some students more maybe than others, but that's a good point. The closer you can bring that, even if it's something the teacher knows, the approach to be able to bring that student up closer makes them feel better.
Yeah, it does.
Helps the learning environment.
Right. So it's really all about respecting their opinions and their thoughts, and hearing their questions, and not. A big part of it is not making them feel stupid. I always tell everybody, the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask, and that's how I feel.
I love that quote. I just heard that somebody said that, was it yesterday? I can't remember. So that seems to be on my mind this week, but that's a great quote. You can't get help unless you ask for it.
Right.
That's excellent.
Right.
Now, we had chatted a little bit about the crossover between the SEO and social media. What are your thoughts on that, as far as, it sounds like obviously you're teaching it, so you spend a lot of time on the SEO side, but how do you balance that from what you found?
Well, that's an interesting question, and easier said than done. And I have a little confession to make. If you had asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, is it more important to spend time on SEO or on social media? If you'd asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, hands down, SEO. But I've become a real believer in social media and a real social media advocate, particularly in the last 6 months. So I kind of, I recognize the fact that I'm in a highly competitive profession. And so, to have my little website come up high on Google search results for highly competitive search terms in any sort of quick fashion was an impossible task. It's just, it's not going to happen. So I knew that I had to embrace social media as a way to promote my business. Plus, it is part of the curriculum that we teach of the importance of social media. But I embraced it to the degree of, yes, I recognized and acknowledged it was important to do.
It exists.
It exists, and you got to do it. But I'm telling you, I embrace it wholeheartedly now, and and there are so many things going on in the whole world of social media and SEO that there's so much overlap and intermingling of the two, I guess, I don't know what the right, two strategies, if you will. And the influence of social signals and people's online social influence is going to only continue to have a bigger impact on search engine optimization. So you really need to find a way to fit both in. And it's not an easy task, especially if you're doing it on your own. But as a business, you really have to have both of those roles kind of equally supported, and it needs to be an integrated strategy. And I will say that I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. For example, if you're in an industry that, people aren't on social networks. Now, by people, I mean your customers, the people that you want to have relationships that are going to buy with you, not your competitors. Now, it's highly doubtful that those customers aren't on a social network, but it's really important. You don't have to be on, my opinion is, you don't have to be on every single social network. You just need to find the ones that are most relevant to your industry and to where your target audience or your potential customers are listening, and spend time there. Where competitors come in my mind, is, let's say, for example, blogging. If you're in an industry where your competitors are blogging once a month, you could probably get by with blogging once a week. If you're in an industry where your competitors are blogging once a day, then you better be blogging once a day. And so it's not really a one-size-fits-all, and I think the amount of time that you devote to one or the other can vary depending on your industry and what your industry's competitive landscape looks like, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I like how you said integrated. That makes a lot of sense. And while you were describing as far as the one-size-fits-all, and that isn't a case for the integrated approach, I was thinking my background, how I found social media was through the financial industry and the company that I work for. And their clientele had to have $20 million to walk through the door to be able to invest. And we weren't finding those on Facebook. You know,
No.
That was basically word of mouth. You know, it's
Right,
like, well, these
right.
guys know what they're doing. You need to. But it became a marketing tool as far as, hey, do you have a website? So it was more like a business card on
Right.
the net. And they really didn't need the social media as much. We did the LinkedIn because it was good to have, you know, it's like
Right.
having a resume online. But
Right.
we weren't out there talking and looking for people with $20 million on Facebook. Not to say they don't exist, but they're probably unlikely to want to discuss it on Facebook.
Exactly.
So that's a really good point, to find something. And that's where someone like yourself as a consultant can really help people to identify how to approach that
Right.
integrated strategy.
And, you know, it's interesting to me because there are still so many companies where the social media efforts and the SEO efforts are completely separate. They don't even talk. And what I find frustrating, I guess, about that, or what I wish people in organizations, I could educate them on the need to have them, if they're not within, under the same umbrella, they still need to be joined at the hip, because they could unknowingly be undoing each other's efforts. So, you know, if the SEO people are, you know, if they're not in tune with what the consumers and the people on the social networks are responding to and interacting with, they could be, you know, they could be creating content or optimizing for all of the wrong things. If social media folks are not using the right keywords, or they're writing poor quality content, or they don't understand that, you know, what a good linking strategy is and things like that, they could really undo each other. If they work together in tandem, then it's a really powerful strategy and can be very, very effective.
That is brilliant. I was just picturing, okay, this is just hypothetical, so I'm going to run this by you as kind of
Sure.
a strategy. Let's picture a medium to larger company. I don't know that the size matters, but we're past the one-person shop here.
Right.
If you had, let's say, an SEO team and a social networking team, the social networking team, I would think, let's say 75% of their knowledge should be in the social media, but then 25% of it in SEO, and then the reverse, or maybe let's say it's 80-20.
Yeah, I think that's
in each team, and then regular strategy meetings.
Yep, I would agree with that. I think that would be a great approach. And I did a workshop a few weeks ago that I called "The Dance Between Search and Social." And
I like that. You can watch me word.
Yeah, actually you can. It's on YouTube and it's on my website. Sherry Narani, who runs Open Social Media Initiative, she has regular hangouts, and I did a presentation for her. It's Open SM, and so yeah, I can send you a link.
That's the one where I found you, right? That's the.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll link to that.
Yeah. So yeah, either that or I can send you a link to the video. But it was kind of fun actually, because that's what I titled the the presentation. And then another one of my friends said, well, why did you title that? Is it, is it a waltz, or is it a line dance, or is it a tango? And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to have some fun with that. So I said, no, you know what? It's not a waltz, because SEO and social media, they don't just kind of swirl around the dance floor in this perfect harmony. And it's not a line dance, because you have to be aware of your partner. It's not like you can just be out there doing the steps by yourself to the music and not be aware of what your partner is doing in concert with you. So I decided it was like a tango. And part of the reason I decided it was like a tango is the tango is a dance that was born out of two very different cultures, and together created this beautiful step that's a little bit complicated and absolutely fabulous when it's executed correctly. So I thought, that kind of works. So SEO and social media are two different disciplines, but they're now coming together, and if they're really orchestrated well, it creates this really beautiful dance that can promote businesses.
I like that. I was sitting here, I'm like, okay, not the mosh pit, because that's not couples. Not, I'm trying to okay, what's she going to settle on that one? But the tango makes sense. It's almost like there's a symmetry and a friction at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it really creates, like you said, the complicated, but yet it's doable. I like that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Wow. Now, see, guys, this is why you need to go to, what is it, Raleigh, and go take courses from.
No, you actually need to come. You come to Pennsylvania and take courses from me, or you can go to Raleigh or any one of the Search Engine Academy. Honestly, it's a great curriculum, and all of the instructors are wonderful.
Is there a book that's coming out?
A book?
You should write a book that is titled that, as far as the dance. That is wonderful.
I should
build on that tango.
That's a great idea. Of course, I'll have to make it one that I can update on a constant basis, because I've already had to go back and update my slides based on some things that changed recently.
Yes, it seems like just when I found that even on Google Hangout training, as far as just when I've got it all packaged and then it changes again.
Yep.
So it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay, well, before we go, any tips? You've given so many tips. How about like 2 tips for the listening audience?
2 tips. Okay, so I'm going to give 3. So
okay,
my first,
pressure you, but
my first tip is to become educated and to really learn what you can about SEO. My personal philosophy is that business owners, website managers have enough on their plate that to try and learn it and absorb it themselves through just reading bits and pieces of articles is just really kind of overwhelming. So, there's lots of great workshops. There's online resources. Take advantage of them and learn the basics so that you can make good decisions. From a strictly SEO perspective, you want to just make sure that your website is easy to navigate and has good content. Make sure that your content is relevant. I really recommend people have a blog. Make sure that it has information that is about your services and products. If people tend to write about things like that are popular, but just because Justin Bieber is popular and gets a lot of search hits, if you don't sell anything having to do with Justin Bieber, then don't write about him. So good copy, good content. My biggest piece of advice is do everything you can with in mind, is this the best thing for my website visitors? Because if you're doing that, then the search engines will reward you, the social media networks will reward you, and traffic and leads will come your way.
Excellent advice. Okay, guys, rewind that so you can hear those tips again, and make sure you write them down. Go implement them. Actionable steps that will help you out, from Beth Browning. Excellent. So Beth, how do we find you?
Well, you can find me a couple of different ways. My primary website is discoveryourcustomers.com. And that's the site that has my consulting and mentoring services, and it's also my main blogging platform. You can also find me on SEOtrainingpennsylvania.com, and that is the website that has my workshop information, and I also have blog posts that I do for the Search Engine Academy on that site as well.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, Beth Browning. I'm going to call you an expert. I know you don't like the word, but I get to call you an expert.
Okay, you can call me an expert.
SEO expert and educator. See, they both start with E, so.
There you go. That works.
Thank you so much, Beth, for joining us. I really enjoyed the interview.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was great.
you wanna kiss and hug me. Come on strong, go on and love me. Let's not waste that big old moon. Wake up and smell the perfume. Just say, if you wanna be more than friends, got some love I'd like to make. Baby, you can squeeze me, I won't break. We could be in a paradise, you and me. Until then, I'll remind you again. Just say when. Oh yeah, until then, I'll remind you again. Just say when. Oh baby, just say when.